All right, let's dive in. Today, we're heading deep into the sands of the Gobi Desert. But we're not looking for treasure. We're on the hunt for a legendary monster, a creature so feared, its story has been whispered for generations. Yeah, we're on the trail of the Mongolian Death Worm.
I mean, just listen to that description for a second. Something slithering right under your feet, armed with acid and electricity. It's literally the stuff of nightmares. And it's a legend that has totally captivated monster hunters for decades. But is any of it real?
And that's the big question, right? Is the Mongolian Death Worm a real, undiscovered animal, a complete work of fiction, or maybe, is it something in between? We're gonna break this legend down, piece by piece, and see what science has to say about it.
So here's the official case file on what the locals call the Olgoi-Khorkhoi. What's wild is how consistent the stories are. It's always this thick, dark red, wormy-looking thing, about 3 feet long. But it's the abilities that are just mind-blowing, spinning some kind of corrosive acid and zapping things with lethal electric shocks.
Okay, this is where our investigation really kicks off. We're gonna take these legendary powers and put them under a scientific microscope. Could nature actually cook up a creature like this? Let's take it one claim at a time.
You know, that acid spit is probably the most terrifying part of the whole legend. But before we can even answer that, we've got to get our terms right. Because in biology, how a toxin gets delivered, well, it changes everything.
Okay, so this is super important. Venom versus poison. They are not the same thing. Venom is actively injected. Think a snake bite or a bee sting. Poison is passive. You gotta eat it or touch it like a poison dart frog. The death worm's attack is an active spit, right? So that puts it squarely in the venom category. So if we're talking about venom, not acid, what could possibly cause that horrible, burning, melting effect? Well, the answer is a pretty horrifying biological process called necrosis. This is when venom makes cells and tissue literally die and fall apart. If you saw this happen, you'd probably describe it as an acid burn. And that is the key takeaway here. Acid spit sounds like something from a sci-fi movie, but an animal spitting and necrotizing venom that just dissolves flesh? That is absolutely 100% plausible. We've just translated the legend into the language of science. Okay, next up, the electric shock. Now, we all know bioelectricity is a real thing. I mean, hello, electric eels. But it's not really a known feature in reptiles. So while we can't completely rule it out for some mystery animal, it's way more likely the answer lies in the incredible chemical weapons we know reptiles have. And finally, what about the whole worm thing? This one's actually pretty easy. There's a whole group of real-life, legless reptiles called worm lizards that burrow underground. It's not a stretch to think that someone running into a big, weirdly colored one of those could have been the spark that started this whole legend. So it seems like the building blocks of the death worm legend are actually found in nature. Now let's go meet some of the world's confirmed monsters. Because honestly, the truth about animal weapons is often way weirder and more incredible than any myth. I mean, look at this. This is a giant spitting cobra. These guys can shoot their venom with pinpoint accuracy, usually aiming right for the eyes. This is proof positive that the death worm's main superpower, shooting a dangerous toxin from a distance, is totally real. All right, let's talk about another famous monster, the Komodo dragon. You've probably heard the myth that it kills with a filthy mouth full of bacteria, but the science is so much cooler and scarier. They actually have sophisticated venom glands that pump out a cocktail of toxins to cause massive bleeding and shock.
And just when you think you've got it all figured out, you know, venom versus poison, nature just loves to throw a curveball. Turns out some amazing creatures out there decided to use both.
Get a load of this snake, the Rhabdophis keelback. For hunting, it's a normal venomous snake, bites with its fangs. But it also eats poisonous toads and then steals their toxins, storing them in these special glands on its neck. So if a predator attacks, it doesn't bite back. It just arches its neck and goes, "Here, have some poison." It's a dual-wielding chemical warrior. Now, all this might seem like we're just fascinated with nature's deadliest creatures, but studying these complex toxins has incredibly important, life-saving uses for us. This is where the science behind the myth really, truly matters. So how do you turn a deadly toxin into a life-saving treatment? It's kind of a four-step process. First, scientists find a venom that does something really specific, like lower blood pressure. Then they isolate the one tiny molecule that does the work. After that, they create a safe, synthetic version in the lab. And finally, they develop that into a highly targeted drug. And believe me,
This isn't just theory. A compound from Gila monster venom became a blockbuster drug for type 2 diabetes. A rattlesnake toxin is being used to help find and fight cancer, and venom from the Russell's viper is now a standard medical test for lupus. These are real-world miracles, all thanks to nature's chemical arsenal.
Okay, we've dissected the legend, we've explored the incredible real-world science, and we've seen why it all matters. I think it's time we head back to the Gobi Desert and deliver our final verdict on the Mongolian Death Worm.
So here it is, our final scorecard. Corrosive spit? We're gonna say highly plausible, as long as we call it necrotizing venom. The worm-like body? Also highly plausible, thanks to those real-life worm lizards. But the electric shock? That's the one that gets a low score. It's just not something we see in reptiles. So our final verdict is, the Mongolian death worm, as one single animal that has all these powers, it's almost certainly a myth. But here's the cool part. It's a myth built from pieces of scientific reality. It's like a Frankenstein's monster, assembled from the very real and very weird abilities of animals that actually exist.
And that really leaves us with one last huge question. The death worm might not be out there, but the spitting cobras, and the venomous lizards, and the poison-stealing snakes, they absolutely are. It just makes you wonder, what other incredible biological secrets and what potential life-saving medicines are still hiding out there in the wild, just waiting for us to find them?